Anime, probably one of the only media available that makes any character shine. Even though it's logical to root for the protagonist 99.9% of the time, there are some anime out there that give the spotlight to their villains. Deliciously devilish and eerily evil, these dubious and dastardly ne'er-do-wells can just as well overtake their series protagonists' popularity. Hello everyone and welcome to Otaku Sensei's channel, and today I'll be the one narrating this video. You can check out my channel, The Entertainment Regent, where I make all sorts of content on anime, gaming, movies, etc. I'll leave the link in the description box below. We'll be taking a look at the top 10 anime where the villains are more appreciated than the hero. Without further ado, let's get this show on the road. At number 10, we have Akira. We're going to be talking about the movie version of Akira, which arguably gives more focus on our villain than the titular hero. It's set in a post-apocalyptic Tokyo in, oddly enough, 2019, with the story of two friends, Tetsuo and Shotaro. The story of Tetsuo is as classic as they come. A lot of anime fans love Tetsuo not just for his transformation, but for his attitude and relatability, always being outspoken on the way he's being seen by those around him. Akira destroyed Tokyo, and was given a side role, making Tetsuo tons more relatable. As Tetsuo develops abilities, we see his sanity start to take a downward spiral, turning heads of anime fans in awe as to what he has become. While MCU fans may be more familiar with the line, "I am Iron Man," die-hard anime fans have their own version in, "I am Tetsuo." Moving on to number 9, it's Cowboy Bebop. Another anime classic makes our list, as we're also in the future to follow the adventures of bounty hunter Spike Spiegel as our protagonist, against a vengeful old friend, Vicious. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I think Lord Acton had Vicious on the mind when he came up with that quote, decades before anime was even a thing, and rightly so. Vicious, as his name suggests, will let no one stand in his way on his quest to completely dominate the Red Dragon Syndicate. Having fought alongside the protagonist Spike Spiegel for so many years as part of the Syndicate, he has absolutely no remorse for anything with a soul, and his views on life and philosophy are eerily similar to Spike's. It's not just his power-hungry attitude or viciousness, pun absolutely intended, that make him a more interesting character, but the way his backstory is revealed throughout the anime as the story develops makes him out to be a truly compelling villain. Let's get to number 8 with a classic, Dragon Ball Z. At this point, I think there's not a soul on this earth that does not know what Dragon Ball Z is, but it's basically the story of Son Goku, an alien boy who grew up on Earth and has become so adept at martial arts, coupled with his tenacity, making him our planet's best defender against all attackers, including Vegeta. While he's not a villain now, let's go back to the Saiyan saga. After beating Raditz, there was no way there would be someone stronger out there. Lo and behold, the Prince of all Saiyans, Vegeta, descends upon the Earth to finish what the low-class warrior could not. Let me remind you that his crossed arms and scowl defined who he was. Vegeta killed countless souls in the name of Frieza, and numerous Namekians when he sought out their Dragon Balls to become immortal. Even with Goku's never say die and positive attitude, a lot of people actually prefer Vegeta, and even more so the villainous role of Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, and I couldn't agree more. Vegeta is the true definition of badass. At number 7, we have Danganronpa. While not one of the most popular entries on the list, Danganronpa is about the killing school life of Hope's Peak Academy, where students with special abilities like the Ultimate Otaku for instance, are invited to be a part of the academy, only to discover that to graduate, you have to murder and get away with it after a trial. Our protagonist, Makoto Naegi, has to be the one who solves the murders alongside the rest of the cast, but he has to ultimately face off against Junko Enoshima. Who says only the boys get to be bad? Initially introduced as the ultimate fashionista of Hope's Peak Academy in the first entry in the Danganronpa series of games, the way her story played out to become the mastermind of the entire plot, not just for the first game, but for the entire series, was mind-bafflingly good. You owe it to yourself to give Danganronpa a watch, since the creators greenlit an anime adaptation of the first game.
スザク、僕はブリタニアをぶっ壊す。
And number 6, it's Code Geass. Taking a slice of alternate history, the world of Code Geass has 3 superpowers: the Holy Britannian Empire, the European Union, and the Chinese Federation. We follow the story of Lelouch, who is on a quest to battle the Britannian Empire from within against Suzuka Kururugi and his other siblings, but we'll choose to focus on those 2 for our list. Sometimes the best villains are those born into villainy, and there are no better ones than aristocrats. Lelouch definitely fits the bill of rich villain. 1, he's the 11th prince of his empire. 2, he's as selfish as they come, and he always views things as trivial, including his education. Moreover, he's got some compassion to his loved ones, so he's not all bad. Comparatively, his half-brother Suzuka is against most of what Lelouch stands for. He believes that the Holy Britannian Empire can be a force for good, and that he can make it better. That's why Lelouch is arguably much better than Suzuka, since he sees, as well as the audience, how futile it is to fight for a tyrannical empire. Let's take a road down vampirism lane with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure at number 5. Arguably one of the best anime around, each entry brings with it some familiar faces across its global and time-spanning adventure, and there are 2 who could not be more iconic in the world of anime: Dio Brando and Jotaro Kujo. You know we had to include a JoJo villain on this list, and who better than the Lord of Darkness himself, Dio. While he has been the anime's primary antagonist in Phantom Blood, his rendition in Stardust Crusaders really outshined Jotaro Kujo's character in every conceivable way. When we finally get to see him in his stand Zawarudu at play, that's when you know you prefer a centuries-old vampire to a 17-year-old Japanese buff high school student. Who can forget the iconic road roller drop during his final fight with Jojo? While Jojo does have perseverance to never give up, let's all remember that Dio survived his just ahead for quite a long period of time, until he was able to latch himself to Jonathan Joestar's body before his demise. At number 4, we've got Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist follows the story of Edward Elric, who must embark on a journey to find the Philosopher's Stone in order to restore his brother's body. Along his path, he is faced with the forces of Father and his homunculi, including one of their most ruthless soldiers, Envy. Out of all the homunculi, Envy has got to be the cruelest. Having the ability to shapeshift, they can become anyone they wish and exploit this ability to torture people, both physically and emotionally. Compared to Edward Elric, who is all about selflessness and loyalty, Envy embraces their evil nature wholeheartedly, and that is absolutely terrifying. Anytime they're on screen, Envy immediately steals the scene and makes the audience feel the utmost discomfort. Delighting themselves in human agony and suffering, there's no way you'll watch a scene with Envy in it without feeling your stomach squirm from fear. On our 3rd spot, we have Death Note. There's a very good reason why it's regarded as one of the absolute best, and that reason is because it delivers such great emphasis on both its protagonists and antagonists, but we're going to take a closer look at L and how he compares to Light Yagami. Now, hear me out on this one. L is by far one of the best characters anime has to offer, and I couldn't agree more. He's definitely the hero of the story, and not the villain at all. However, in the context of Death Note, we're almost immediately introduced to Light Yagami and his life, as well as knowing his motivation, making him the protagonist, right? Anyway, both characters are committed to their own versions of justice, but we all know L has the best and most logical interpretation of it. Every time L was on screen, he always carried an air of mystery around him that sucked up just about any sort of light, well, no pun intended here, in its path and focused it on him. On number 2, it's Monster. Monster illustrates why you shouldn't mess with people's brains, literally. Protagonist Kenzo Tenma ends up creating a monster from one of his patients in Germany, Johann Liebert. The man ends up becoming a cold and psychopathic serial killer, and that's how the story starts. Oh boy, the nightmares are starting to crawl back in. Ugh. Johan's face alone steals the cake from the protagonist, and you will never be able to shake his terrifying visage from your mind. Not only was he born extremely intelligent, one of his two sides is simply pure evil, and he will use his masterfulness at manipulation to the most extreme degree. In stark contrast to his creator, Liebert steals the spotlight because he has nothing but intensity written all over him, making him even better than the protagonist in the eyes of fans. Finally, at number 1, it's Hunter by Hunter. I don't think this entry needs any introduction, but for the uninitiated, Gon, our protagonist, follows in the footsteps of his hunter father in order to try and find him. Along his journey, he comes across our top pick villain, Hisoka. Hisoka can be your enemy one day, your ally on another. While he himself isn't interested in his past, I'm sure a lot of fans will want a miniseries that explores his background a bit more, and the title's already perfect, Hisoka by Hisoka. Has a nice ring to it, eh? Gon is cool and all, but I don't think he can hold a candle to how cool Hisoka is. He can barely feel any pain, to the point where he shrugs off most injuries, and he's a master strategist in every fight scene. So, that's all for today. What do you think of our list? Feel free to sound off in the comments section below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to never miss Otaku Sensei's new uploads. And yeah, just a small reminder, this is the Entertainment Regent, so please check out my channel, link in the description box below. I'll see you next time.